I'm Justin Davis, and this is Drone Camps RC. Hey guys, welcome back to the Drone Camps channel. I'm Justin Davis, and today we're going to check out the Furibee X215 Pro, and this is the S edition. Now the other reviewers did have some problems with this quad, and I'm going to show you what those problems are, and I'm also going to show you how to alleviate most of that problem and fix yours if you have one, or if you're thinking about buying one. And I'll show you what to do to make it fly way better and stabilize that onboard gyro. So let's go ahead and take a look at it on the bench, and then we'll go outside and do a line of sight flight test, and we'll do some FPV with this Furibee X215 Pro S model. Now I got the Frsky version with the XM Plus on there, so it's a nice micro size receiver and it's a full range antenna on there, so lightweight. But what you're going to want to do is replace that foam tape that they have on there holding it down and secure it with some nice 3M VHB. You can get that stuff on Amazon. It's super awesome. We used to use it to secure gyros on the back of single rotor helis when we were running 700 size helicopters, so it's very secure stuff, and it holds things down really great. Now let's go ahead and take a look at what's in the box real quick, and then we'll talk about the specs on this quad, because it does have quite a large power system on here. You do get sort of a RunCam 3 version or a GoPro Session style mount, and it doesn't have any tilt on here, so you need to add like a little piece of foam to give it a little more tilt so you can get a better camera view. You also get 2 sets of props in the box, green ones, and I got pink. These are 50-48 tri-blade props, and these are pretty good for freestyle, but I would start out with something completely different than these props. I would put these to the side, maybe try out some of the Azure props that I'm testing today. These are pretty good. I'll try to put a link down below for you guys to check these out. These are the newest version of Azure props. The old ones that we had on the channel from last year had some really funky curves on them, and these are a lot smoother looking, so we did test those out on this quad, and they flew quite good. Now you also get a piece of carbon fiber, and this is for the bottom of your battery, and this is going to secure and protect your battery on those hard landings. And you get a Velcro strap with a nice metal buckle on here for securing your battery on the bottom of the quad. Today for our flight test, we are going to test out some of these new Venom race packs. These are pretty sweet looking. This is a 4S 1300 milliamp, and this is 90C battery. It also comes with a Dean's converter and for an EC3 type of setup, so it just plugs right in on the end of the XT60 right here. But it's kind of nice that they include these, and this has been around, this company's been around for quite some time. If you're new to the hobby, Venom is a good name to know because they make some pretty decent stuff for a good price, and you can get some of this stuff domestically in local hobby shops, which is pretty cool. It's always been kind of the more budget battery in the hobby shop, something like an alternative to Thunder Power but with good performance. So I'm happy that I have a bundle of these to test out. I have some 4 and 5S batteries, so we're going to run this in this review on 5S. We're going to see if this gyro freaks out and flips out like it has for other reviewers. I know the X215 Pro, not the S model that I have here, had a lot of gyro problems, and that's mainly because it has a soft piece of foam underneath where the gyro sits, and on a hard turn that foam gives a little bit and causes the gyro to rotate left and right on the roll axis and causes a lot of problems. I'm going to show you a way to fix that in this video, and you'll have a nice flying X215 Pro or the S model. Now one of my gripes about this design is the fact that this ribbon cable does stick out the side, and other guys at the field were kind of scared of this. You know, they said it's going to rip off, and you know, one of the best ways to probably fix this, after you put a piece of 3M VHB, you can see mine is just underneath the gyro there, and you stick it down nice and tight. You can take this whole top off, take this top VTX off, and just make sure it's securely stuck down on top of the flight controller, and then put everything back on the top. But that's going to be a really easy fix, and I actually did mine without taking all this off, so you can also do it really carefully if you take some type of tweezers and just sort of pick that foam off of there and get all the foam off. You don't want to leave any extra foam on there because you're going to have some issues with not being level, so make sure your piece of 3M VHB is nice and level. Now what's also cool about this one is it does have an Omnibus F4 flight controller. It has a built-in OSD for beta flight tuning. You can change any of your on-screen parameters obviously, and it did come with the latest Betaflight 3.2 on here, so I'm happy about that. It also comes with a pagoda. It has a beeper, built-in LEDs, and it has an onboard DVR with an SD card slot in the very back of the drone, so you can put your SD card in there. It was a little bit of an angle getting the card in there, so you might have to use a pair of tweezers to put it in there and take it out. But it does record some really nice onboard footage here, and this is that Furibee camera that I've seen before on GearBest's website, and I believe it's fairly new, but I haven't had a chance to fly this one and check it out. So this is my first experience with this, and as you'll see coming up, I did have some issues with that piece of foam like everyone else did, and this 3M VHB tape really made a big difference securing that gyro and not getting that hard jerk to the right. Sort of just a kind of a gyro freak out. And the Betaflight tune on here was okay. It's not going to be perfect. I think it still needs a little bit of tuning for my particular model here. On the punch out at high throttle, I did see some noise in the video system and a little bit of vibration at really high throttle. So, and that also might be due to some prop wash. Now, aside from an Omnibus F4 flight controller on here, we also have 35 amp D-Shot ready ESCs. This is a 4-in-1 ESC stack over here, and they have the motor wires kind of nicely heat shrinked here and out of the way of the props. That looks really nice there, how they did that. You can take an extra zip tie and run around this arm if you want to, just to secure it a little better. Now, the video transmitter on here not only records DVR footage, but it also does switch between 25 milliwatt and 200 milliwatt. I had a pretty good reception, but like I said, I think it does have a little bit of feedback. It might need a little bit of an LC filter in between the VTX and where it's powered, and that would clean up the video a lot. Or you could also try to put capacitor on the side over here, and that might help clean up some of this noise that we're seeing. And you can look these up on eBay. This is actually a 25 volt 330 UF capacitor, and you're going to use the positive side. You can see right here on this side it says negative, and over here would be your positive side. So you're going to solder this down to the negative side and the positive side, just like this, right where your battery terminals solder on. Now, the 35 amp ESCs do a good job at powering these motors, and these 2306s, this is the green edition 2400 kV motors. They are super punchy on 4S and on 5S. They're just out of this world. They're super beefy and very, very punchy. Is kind of like what I was expecting with this power system. Now, overall, I like this X215 series. The original X215 was extra awesome, and that one had no problems at all, and I really like that one. I even said that might be the quad of the year. I'll try to put a link down below if you guys want one that's not going to have any type of issues that you have to work on. But this one's also cool because it does have that built-in DVR and switchable power option for the VTX. But I do like the fact that this is an X frame. You can see it's a stretch X right here, and it has that sort of laminate over top of the carbon fiber. It's the same as the 215 Pro with that same type of aluminum frame going over the top. And I do like the fact that they did do replaceable arms on that. That's a huge value for this quad. I'm pretty sure that they have parts available. Maybe you can get just the arms for it instead of buying a whole kit, which would be super nice. And if they do have that, I'll try to put the link below, or I'll try to put the link for the kit. But I think if you're going to get this one, the cool thing about it is it does have that built-in DVR, and the only thing about it is that you're going to have to do that fix that I showed you guys, and this is the key to that fix. This is the 3M VHB here. You're just going to take a little tiny piece and put underneath your gyro and secure it down to that Fort flight controller, and it looks like this close up. I'll just show you a little close up of it. It's just a little gray, sticky, double sticky, and it's much more dense than the foam that they had on there. This stuff is super durable, and it doesn't really ever come off until you take it back off. And most times when I take it off of a board, it doesn't damage the chips that it might be stuck up against. So it's not going to pull your chips off if you slowly kind of just roll it off. It comes right off when you're ready to get it off. So let's go ahead outside now and let's do some flight tests with this 4S and 5S. And I'll show you what a difference this little bit of a mod makes on the X215 Pro S.
All right, guys, welcome to the field. I'm Justin Davis from Drone Camps. We're going to do a quick review of the X215 Pro, and this is the S version. This is the newest version that came out with the newer motors on here that has this new onboard DVR system with 1080p recording. And I did a little fix on the side of the flight controller where the ribbon cable is right here. I added a piece of VHB, 3M VHB, to stick that gyro down nice and tight so it's not wobbling around. They had a piece of foam tape under it. It just wasn't holding good. It was causing the quad to violently vibrate when I did a hard turn or any type of like quick turn. So it would just kind of do this sort of overreaction real quick, mainly because the gyro is moving because of the light foam that they used. I also secured the receiver on there with another piece of VHB because it also came off in my previous flight test. So I did a line of sight test with it just a second ago, and it's doing a lot better now that I sort of soft hard mounted the gyro on there with some VHB. It's just a little more tacky than a piece of foam would be. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the GoPro on my head, and we'll do a 4S line of sight test, and then we'll see how it performs on 5S, and we'll see if this gyro jumps around at all. Okay, here we go, guys. Coming off the ground, and I'm also trying out those new Azure props. They just came out, so just got a lot of those Azure props to test out for you guys. Looks nice in the air, and I did some punch outs earlier and there was no flips or any kind of violent movement from the gyro. So now it seems to be performing a lot better now that I did this little bit of a mod to that gyro. So here we go. We're going to try that out again for you guys live. So we'll go ahead and do a punch out. 1, 2, 3. Nice and high. That's what I was hoping for. Let's just try some Acro there. And some back and forth. See how that gyro hangs in there. Some quick movements. Okay, this is all Acro line of sight, and it seems to be handling it pretty well. So now I feel pretty confident that I could FPV this without the twitch problem that other reviewers have been having. So if you have the Furibee X215 Pro S, or you have the previous one, this is what I would do. I would take some 3M VHB and clear up the problem. And you want to make sure it's stuck down, and you remove all of that other foam that was on there, because you want it to be absolutely flat on the flight controller. So that's looking pretty good, guys. Let's go ahead and do a 5S test on this, because I do have some new 5S batteries from Venom. I just got a box of those to test out. So let's go ahead and see what this guy can do on 5S. I think it'll be pretty good. It might flip, it might not. We'll see. We'll see what happens. That gyro still seems to be stuck down pretty good there, so I'm happy with that. Here we go. Okay, guys, there's that 5S battery. It's an 18.5 volt, and this is going to be a lot more power than 4S. It's just always a nice boost of power when you go up one battery size. So we'll see what this one does. This is a 1300, and it is a 90C battery, so it's a pretty high C-rated battery. I'll go ahead and plug that in, and I'll get it over here nice and flat as I can get it for takeoff. And by the way, when I tested this yesterday on 5S, and the soft mounted gyro was on there, that foamy stuff that they had the gyro on, it violently flipped. It actually did like maybe 4 or 5 rolls in my punch out, so it was kind of interesting to see that. Now I'm interested to see what's going to happen now that I have a sort of a firmer mount on there, and maybe not as much movement of the gyro on those hard turns that these motors are going to produce. So here we go. Let's power up and come up into a hover, hopefully. Here we go. Always want to kind of stand back whenever you're doing any kind of maiden or testing out a quad for the first time. You never know which way these things are going to go. And you don't notice a whole lot of difference with 5S when it's just kind of hovering, but when you do your punch out, that's when it's going to go way up there. So I did a test yesterday with it, and it did flip a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and do that punch out again. I'm going to do a forward punch out right in front of us here on the field and see if it actually does flip again, because the gyro is flipping out. Ready, guys? We're going to do it in 1, 2, 3. There goes the 5S punch out with no reaction from the gyro. That's what I'm looking for. And I've got that 5S power on here with, let's see how it reacts to some hard turns. And I'll save some of this battery pack so that I can fly it and FPV and show you guys how it FPVs. Right now it seems like it's holding its turns and not flipping out. So that VHB may have fixed this issue. Oh yeah, that's what we're looking for, guys. That is what we're looking for. No vibes, no movement. The gyro very responsive, and like a quad should be. Very nice. This is awesome. So I'm gonna put it back down on the ground, and gonna do some FPV with this guy now that it's flying good. And I would definitely recommend doing this to any of the models that have this particular gyro, and I think that's definitely going to fix the problem. Just simple as that, little piece of VHB. 3M VHB, imagine that. All right, guys, enjoy the flight footage and the FPV flight of the Furibee X215 Pro S model. Here we go. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get this beast up in the air, and let me try to just push this quad as hard as I can on some hard turns and see if I can get this gyro to freak out like the other reviewers were having. Sometimes when I see a review come up before mine, and I get a sort of a heads up from these other reviewers that something might be going wrong with the quad, and I took it out the day before and I tested it, and it did the same exact thing that the other reviewers had problems with. It twitched, it jerked to the right. On 5S it actually did like 4 or 5 flips, and that wasn't super cool. It kind of freaked me out. Definitely glad I wasn't in the goggles, but now I have this gyro hard mounted with the VHB tape, and I say hard mount, but it's actually kind of a sort of thick foam. It's not as foamy and bouncy as the other foam they put on here. So get rid of that foam on yours. If you have to, pop the top and put this foam on there. The VHB is going to work way better. I'm super happy with where it's at right now because I'm really pushing it right here, and it's just not flipping out when I do those hard turns like Albert Kim and Andy RC had. They were having some real problems with this gyro, and I was pretty much expecting that when I saw the piece of foam they had on it. Just not a good choice for a material for mounting an external gyro. So here we are, kind of punching around again, punching back and forth. And I did see some prop wash in some of my turns when I was accelerating after sort of a hard turn. I come back out of something down at the bottom of a maneuver, I punch back out. You see a little bit of wobble, and that's mainly because the Betaflight PID tune on the 5S battery versus the 4S is going to be different. I'm back on 4S here, and it should be a little smoother. I could probably turn down my P's and D's just a little bit and get rid of some of that prop wash, but right here, you're looking at default. You know, this is pretty much how it's going to fly out of the box after you do this mod, and I think you're going to be pretty happy with it. So guys that already have this quad, I'm kind of stoked for you because this is going to be a decent fix, and it's going to make the quad flyable. You might even be able to just tune it a little more and actually be able to race this one in multi-GP race and probably have a pretty good time competing against other guys. So now I'm really just giving it all I've got and just going every which direction with the controls and seeing if I can make the gyro overreact, and now it's flying true. So I'm pretty happy with this. Now I can safely fly this quad and not feel like it's endangering me or those around me, because you definitely don't want to have a quad up in the air and it's going to have a freak out and sort of be unexpected. But now I feel like I can trust it pretty good, so this is nice, and I'm going to continue to fly this one. So thanks for watching this review, guys. This is the fix for the X215 Pro S edition. I'll see you on the next one.